Hey, 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 everybody. How's it going? You got your main man, Randy Brown here. Just got back from karaoke, had an awesome night out, made a little money, smooched it up a little bit, did a little magic, had some fun, got some free drinks. So, yeah, I'd have to say that was a pretty good night. Pretty damn good night. I can't tell you where I was because, some people will try to make trouble for me, but it was a good night. Sang a lot of karaoke, and it was all good in the neighborhood. But today's stream is about the top 10 garbage movies that I like, and I have a list. And if you're watching, comment your favorite garbage movie, and we'll start rolling. Okay, so now it's the top 10, and we're gonna go from worst, 10 being the worst, 1 being one of my favorite movies of all time. So 10 the worst to 1, not that bad, but I love those movies. So the first movie on my list is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Now, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, it's a weird dichotomy because the first movie, Mortal Kombat by Paul W.S. Anderson, is fantastic. Like, the lighting's great, the fight choreography's great, the acting's great, special effects for their time were great. They're not too good now, but we're like almost 25 years later. But at the time, the special effects were badass. And then you've got Mortal Kombat 2. And Mortal Kombat is definitely one of the best video game movies ever made. And then you have Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which is probably one of the worst video game movies ever made. And, the director of the first movie, Paul W.S. Anderson, he didn't direct the second one. And the guy who did the cinematography for the first one, John R. Leonetti, is the guy who ended up directing the second one, and he used his brother Matthew Leonetti to do the cinematography. So it's the same look. Now, visually, they're very similar films. They both look and feel the same. They got that kind of purplish, gritty feel to it. But John R. Leonetti does not know how to direct actors. He doesn't know how to, edit and compose a good scene. And, so there ended up being some really garbage performances in that movie. There's a scene where Katana confronts her mother, who is an evil zombie now. She goes, "Mother, you're still alive." And Musetta Vander is the lady who plays Sindel, and she goes, "Too bad you will die." So it's a pretty bad performance. It's not good at all. It's very bad, and the acting is horrible. And they try to shoehorn in a lot of characters without giving each character its due. It's kind of like the opposite of Dark Knight in that respect. Because in Dark Knight, what a lot of people don't realize is, sup, Carl? Yeah, in the Dark Knight, what a lot of people don't realize is there's 4 or 5 different villains in the Dark Knight, but guess what? Not all of them are important, so not all of them get 5 hours of screen time. And again, the problem with Mortal Kombat Annihilation is that they try to give 500 characters a chance to appear on screen, but it's hello, goodbye, and then they're off screen. Scorpion and Sub-Zero are in the movie for about 3 minutes. They do a fight scene, and then they're nowhere else in the movie. They are gone. They don't appear again. And they tried to shoehorn in animalities, and it just didn't work. And it was a pretty shitty film. Again, the acting is horribly bad, and the final fight scene of the movie is worse than what you would find in a Sega Saturn cutscene. That's the level of work and detail that went into that. It literally looks like a second-year CGI artist student made that fight scene. It was pretty bad. All right. Going on to number 9, Twisted Pair. Twisted Pair, just the name is hilarious because, the double entendres that come to mind, I just can't say. But the movie is called Twisted Pair, and it's by the Breenius himself, Neil Breen. And hello, Bimbo. How is it going? Yeah, so Neil Breen made this movie. I believe it's like his 4th or 5th film. And it is about 2 twins. One of them rises up in the business world, and the other becomes a military-grade assassin, killing people randomly. And then later on in the film, we find out that, their genetic code was split, and there's alien DNA, and it's just a bunch of dumb, weird stuff, And there's one scene in particular in Twisted Pair that's really interesting because, I'll set the scene for you. So, basically, Neil Breen is walking past this bum. He gives him some change, and then this woman bumps into him. And apparently, Neil Breen is like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? We should have dinner." And she is totally stone cold rejecting him. He's like, No, I don't want you. I don't want to talk. Don't want to do anything. I'm going to go. This is creepy. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And during the whole scene, he's like, "Yeah, come on. We'll have dinner. We'll go out sometime. We'll have fun. We'll do." And she's like, No. And when the woman leaves, he bets the homeless guy, "Hey, I bet you I'll get a date with her." And then later on, they meet again. And again, she's like, No, get away from me. I don't like you. Don't do this. Go away. And then later on in the movie, he shows up at her house. He breaks in, and she's in the kitchen making dinner, and he attacks her, and they struggle all the way into the living room. She grabs a picture with glass on it, and she slams it on his head. And then Neil Breen is like, "So, babe, what's for dinner?" And it's like, oh, all that was just role playing. It was just some weird kind of role playing. And then Neil Breen takes her out to a restaurant, but it's not a restaurant. It's just an outside patio with a bunch of tables and chairs. And I know why Neil Breen did this. I know why he did this, because he couldn't afford a restaurant with waiters and background extras and all that. But, Neil Breen's character in the film says, "I just wanted to take you somewhere new, some place where nobody's ever been. I wanted to take you to a diner where the food and waiters and people are invisible." And they both laugh and chuckle it up. And again, I know why he did it, because he couldn't afford the, waiters and all that. But, it was hilarious. And there are straight up some scenes in this movie that are just pure, unadulterated, royalty-free footage. And some of them, he doesn't even try to, hide it. There's a lot of royalty-free footage in there, and it's a good way to, good way to work in the scenes there. But yeah. So now, this is one me and Fears watched together. And, everybody talks about Troll 2. Everybody talks about Troll 2. But the thing about Troll 2 is Troll 2 is good, but a lot of people aren't talking about Troll 1. Troll 1 is hilarious. Here's a little fun fact about Troll 1. Number 1, the main character in the film, the dad, guess what his name is? Are you ready? You gonna guess? Harry Potter Sr. And his kid is named Harry Potter Jr. I'm not making that up. This film is from 1984 or 1985. So it's quite possible that J.K. Rowling watched Troll 1 and took the name, And then also Julia Dreyfus, who the chick, Chicken Wizard. I was immediately exactly going to say that as you said that. Chicken Wizard said the chick from Seinfeld is in Troll 1. Yes, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in the movie. She plays Elaine on Seinfeld. and she is naked in the film. Well, not naked. She's wearing like a Vine bikini, and like she runs away from the camera in one shot, and she basically has a Vine G-string. Like she's basically wearing a tree vine up her ass. It is hilarious. And then there's a scene in the movie, which is my favorite scene in the whole movie. Like this little person gets invited in to dinner by this family and this little girl, and the little person starts telling a story, and then next door, unbeknownst to the people who are right next door, trolls are coming out the yin yang. They're infesting this entire apartment. Foliage is growing everywhere, and the trolls start singing a demonic like song. And actually, if you have the song is kind of catchy. And this is back in the 80s when practical effects were the things. They've got tons of these like little weird like frog and pig trolls, and they're all singing and they're lip syncing really badly, and it's hilarious. And in my humble opinion, I think Troll 1 is better than Troll 2. Everybody talks about Troll 2. Troll 1, it's better. If you get the chance, watch it. And the chick who plays Rocky and Bullwinkle, June Lockhart, she's in the movie too, and she plays like this old witch lady, and she has like a lamp light next to her, but the lamp isn't really a lamp, it's a mushroom, and the mushroom has like a little face in the stem. And the mushroom, like, mouths like words to her and starts talking to her. And during the troll song, where all the trolls are singing, cuts away to the mushroom plant just singing songs. Ultimately hilarious. A great film. And it's what started the Troll franchise. And what a lot of people don't know, the Troll franchise has like 3 sequels. There's Troll 2, Troll 2 Part 2, and Troll 2 Part 3. So, yeah. And Troll 2 Part 2 and Troll 2 Part 3, those are both independent films. They were made by the fans, and I have yet to see them, but I really do want to see them because those were hilarious. So there we go. So now, moving down the list to number 7. Number 7 is Return of the Killer Tomatoes. And again, Return of the Killer Tomatoes, B-movie from the 80s. It's one of those movies that I watched so much at Blockbuster that I watched this movie so much that Blockbuster probably made like $200 or $300 off of me renting this movie. That is how many times I watched this movie. Now, when Blockbuster was a thing, they had this thing called $2 Tuesdays. And I was a big movie lover growing up. My mom didn't want to do a lot of work. She's like, well, I'll just sit Randy in front of the TV and get him 3 movies, and we'll just set them up. The new BH says, hey, Randy, dropping by to leave a thumbs up. Be well. Be well, BH. Loved those movies. I do too, Chicken Wizard. So again, my mom just wanted to drop me in front of the TV for a few hours and just keep me occupied. So she would take me out to Blockbuster, and we would go to $2 Tuesdays. And she said, Randy, I want you to pick 3 movies for you, and then get a movie that we all can watch. Mom and her boyfriend at the time, and so get 3 movies for yourself. Get one movie that we can all watch together. And I'll tell you, the movies that I got were Aliens by James Cameron, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, or Return of the Killer Tomatoes, I should say, and then and Little Shop of Horrors. Those were, and I must have spent like $500 renting those movies over and over and over again. But the thing that's cool about Return of the Killer Tomatoes is, like, number one, it's a hilarious movie. It has one of the first roles that George Clooney ever had. And there's a running joke in the movie that, they don't have enough money to film the movie. So, like, during one of the scenes, they straight up stop the movie and they're like, hold up. Guys, we don't have enough money for this thing. we're gonna have to cut it. And like George Clooney is like, hey man, what if we just like do a bunch of product placements and shit? We'll just get all that in there. And like, I don't know, do you think that'd work? And they're like, yeah, it'll work. So like throughout the movie, there are tons of just total blatant product placement ads. Like the mad scientist in the film, like he's wearing a lab coat and he turns around, and on the back of his lab coat, he has a huge Pepsi symbol with the word Pepsi on it. And there's one part near the end of the movie where George Clooney and the main character are going to like up to the haunted house to like retrieve their girlfriend. And I just remember the scene, like George Clooney and the guy are on the Honda Quad Runners, and George Clooney is like, yes, we shall go to this house by taking our Honda Quad Runners, and you shall take your Honda Quad Runner, and I shall take my Honda Quad Runner, and we shall both take our Honda Quad Runners, and then, do we have enough money to finish this damn thing? And then it pans over to the director, and the director is like, has all these bikini babes, you know, fawning all over him, and was like, oh yeah, we're good. We got enough money. Yeah, we're doing great. And, you know, and it was just a hilarious movie. And then another good scene in Return of the Killer Tomatoes is the main character's girlfriend, who is actually a tomato in taken human form. She's like taking a shower, and like the guy walks in on her. He opens up the shower, and she's like eating fertilizer sticks. And he's like, oh my God. He runs out of the apartment, and George Clooney is like, hey, what's going on? And he goes, my girlfriend, she's a tomato. And George Clooney is like, hell yeah, I'll say she's a tomato. And he goes, no, you don't understand. She's actually a tomato. And it's like, whatever, man, whatever. So it's a hilarious movie. And it's a total B movie. And it means to be a movie. It's a take up and a send off of B movies. And it's just a hilarious movie. So there we go. That is Return of the Killer Tomatoes. And again, the theme song for the opening sequence, hilarious. Hilarious. All right. Number 6. Probably nobody has ever heard of this next one, because it's not a famous movie, but it did spawn a sequel and a TV series. Number 6 is a little movie I like to call Black Scorpion. All right. Now, the guy who produced Black Scorpion is a guy called Roger Corman. And back in the day, there were only three major cable companies that, you know, show R-rated material. There was HBO, Showtime, and Cinemax. All right. Roger Corman Presents was on Showtime. And number one thing you need to know about that show is, like, it's an anthology series, and they would always open up with the same title sequence, you know, that goes Roger Corman Presents. And the theme song for Roger Corman Presents was actually the unused theme song for the Fantastic Four that never got made. I mean, it got made, but it didn't get released. So that was the theme song for Roger Corman Presents. And Roger Corman, he was a famous B-movie director and producer. He has like over 400 or 500 movies to his credits, you know. And to give you an idea of what a monumental achievement that is, I am 41 years old. If I made a movie every year, starting at the year I was born, I would only have 41 movies in my back pocket. Roger Corman has 400 or 500 movies to his credit. And one of those movies was the Roger Corman Presents show, Black Scorpion. And I'm going to give you a little backstory on where the name Black Scorpion comes from, because they go over the story in the beginning of the movie. So basically, it's the tale of a scorpion who wants to travel across the river. And, you know, the scorpion's like, well, I can't swim and I can't do anything, so what am I going to do? So the scorpion sees a frog, and the scorpion says to the frog, Mr. Frog, can you take me across the river? And the frog's like, what do you think? I'm a bloody idiot? You're a scorpion. If I put you on my back, you're going to sting me and I'll die. And the scorpion's like, no, I won't sting you. I mean, if I stung you in the middle of us crossing the river, we'd both die. And the frog's like, well, yeah, that's pretty, I see the reasoning in your logic. Okay, go ahead and hop on. So the scorpion hops on the frog's back. The frog is swimming across the river. And then the scorpion, out of nowhere, stings the frog. And the frog starts to go limp and paralyzed. And before the frog dies, the frog says, well, Mr. Scorpion, why'd you do that? Now we're both going to drown. And the scorpion says, hey, it's in my nature, So that is the story of the frog and the scorpion. You can't deny your nature. So, the superhero, she's a cop. It's played by Joan Severance. I don't remember the character's name, but she comes across a lot of this high tech stuff on in one of the robberies, and she starts using it. And she says she wants to take down the supervillain called the Breathtaker that's causing trouble in the city and suffocating people to death. So she basically she says, if I want to catch somebody who wears a mask, then I've got to wear a mask too. So she comes up with this whole, black outfit, I think it was like a bondage outfit that she found. And, she creates a little mask for herself. She said, you know what? This kind of looks like a scorpion. I'm going to take that thing that my father used to tell me, and I'm going to become the Black Scorpion. And her father got killed by the Breathtaker. And, she says, in honor of my father, I'm going to become the Black Scorpion. And then she goes out and she starts kicking ass. And she has tons of really cool gadgets. She's got a little ring that's also a stun gun, and she can shoot electricity out of it. And, just to give you an image of Black Scorpion, she is freaking hot. She wears high heeled boots. She's got upper arm length black gloves. She's got a little scorpion mask that kind of looks like that. And then she braids her hair so it looks like a scorpion tail. And at the end of her braid, she's got that little hook thing that scorpions had. And then the rest of her outfit looks like a one-piece bathing suit, So it's a really hot outfit. She looks really good in it. It's a really sexy movie. And again, if you know Roger Corman is all about the boobs. There's a lot of nudity and sex in his movies, And Roger Corman was actually, one of the people who perfected the slasher movie, because he had a formula. Roger Corman's formula was take 6 teenagers to a house and chop them up, And if you look at a lot of movies today, a lot of horror movies today, that's exactly what they do. Like the Saw movies, they take 6 people to a house and chop them up. That's the formula. So there you go. So that, and the car that she uses is like a transformer, and it's a normal car during the day, and she can press a button and it turns black, and the windows go up, and turns into a Lamborghini and stuff. And her on-screen display was pretty cool, because the screen that displays things was built into the windshield, which was an awesome special effect. It not very practical, but it looked good. So there is my review of Black Scorpion. Now, another one, number 5. Number 5 is one that I love. I've loved for a long time. The next one that I'd like to say I love is Predator 2. Predator 2 was obviously a sequel to Predator 1. And, Predator 1 took place in the jungle, but Predator 2 took place in the concrete jungle in the city. And they decided to shoot us forward a couple of years. I think the movie was made in 1990, and it was supposed to take place in LA 1997, around that time. Not exactly that. I don't remember the exact time. But this was one of the movies back in the early 90s where they thought LA was going to be a freaking war zone, And LA is really portrayed a lot like that. They kind of did the same thing in Demolition Man, where like, yeah, LA of the future, it's going to be horrible. There's going to be terrorists and bombings and Molotov cocktails everywhere, and there's going to be nonstop shootouts. The city's going to be desolate. The streets are going to be running full of blood. So that is basically the setting for the second Predator. That is an absolute war zone of LA. And, and like back then they had like, hard copy and inside edition. And, Robert Morton, I think was his name, was like one of the news people who was like really, oh man, this is hardcore, with whatever that guy's name was. I don't remember his name. But the hero was not the traditional hero of an action movie, even though I guess he was in Lethal Weapon 1 and 4. But the guy who played Murtaugh in Lethal Weapon, he was the lead in this. And he's not really a physical guy. He's not somebody who you would look at and say, oh, you know what? Danny Glover. Danny Glover is not a person you could look at and say, you know what? He would make a good, like, hardcore action star. But again, I guess he did in Predator 2 and he did in the Lethal Weapons 1 through 4. But the running gag in Lethal Weapon 1 was, hey, man, I'm too old for this shit. And then you got Lethal Weapon 2, and he's like, now I'm really too old for this shit. And then you got Lethal Weapon 3 and 4, and it's like, shouldn't you be retired by now? I think you should. You can't be doing this forever. Like, you can't be going after the Predator in a walker. You can't do that. So, basically, the plot line is that the Predator comes out in the hottest times of the year, and it's the hottest time in LA that it's ever been. And he keeps going around and killing people, and Danny Glover gets involved. And what I really like about this movie is they really upgrade the tech. This isn't just another movie where they just like, oh, it's Predator again, here we go. Like, they showed several things in here that is unique. Well, not unique. It's the first time some of this tech has been seen. Like the spider web net that like cuts you into pieces because it's like webbing. That was an awesome piece of tech. And there's also a scene I love where, he takes one of the blades from a weapon that the Predator had, and he goes like a metallurgist, and he goes, here, see what this is. Find out what metal that is. And she takes it, and she's like, oh my God, this almost has no weight. And then she sticks it under the spectrum microscope, and she goes, this thing does not correspond with anything on our periodic table of elements, So, and then it has Maria Conchita Alonso in it. And there was one thing that I really liked is the Predator, kills a bunch of people on the subway, and it's about to kill Maria Conchita Alonso, but then the Predator uses his spectral vision, and he sees that her character has a baby inside her stomach. So, well, she's pregnant, basically. So he sees that she's pregnant, so he just basically likes throw her up against the wall and leaves. And then Danny Glover figures out, oh, he's hunting for sport. He didn't kill her because she has a baby. That wouldn't be a sporting thing to do, And that was one of the major things about Predator 1 and 2. It was all about sport. It wasn't about, like, killing random people just to kill them. And in Predator 1, Arnold Schwarzenegger figured out that the Predator wouldn't kill you if you weren't armed and weren't attacking it. Like, if you didn't have a gun, the Predator would just be like, it's not fun for me. I'll kill him later when he has a weapon. But now Gary Busey is in this film, and Gary Busey plays a really hard-edged, mean, dickish character. And what a lot of people don't know is Gary Busey's character in this movie was actually supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie. Gary Busey's character in Predator 2 was supposed to be the same character that Arnold Schwarzenegger played in Predator 1. And Arnold didn't like the script, so he bowed out and said, let somebody else take it. Just change the character name and have somebody else do it. So they decided on Gary Busey, and I like Gary Busey. I think he's a good actor. I've seen a lot of interviews with him in real life, and the dude was kind of insane, but he was kind of insane in a good way. Like, there's this one TV show called My Life with Gary Busey, where this filmmaker goes to Gary Busey and hangs out with him for like 2 years. And Gary Busey does all this weird, crazy stuff. Like, the filmmaker and Andy Dick, came up to Gary Busey and he goes, "Here's your Slurpee, man." And Gary Busey's like, "That Slurpee is yellow." I was like, "Yeah, so what? You think I don't know what's going on here?" And Gary Busey slaps the Slurpee out of Andy Dick's hands and goes all over the floor. And Gary Busey just walks off, and Andy Dick is looking at the filmmaker going, "What the fuck had just happened?" And I think possibly what Gary Busey thought was happening is that they pissed in it, and that's why it was yellow. But it was hilarious. And I love Gary Busey. I wish he was alive so I could meet the man. Chicken Wizard says Gary Busey is a great character actor. Yeah, he is. And his son is starting to look just like, his son, Jake Busey, looks exactly like him. And I can't wait to see Jake Busey at age like 40 or 56. He's going to look exactly like his dad is. And I wonder if he's going to have the same raspy voice. But yeah, I agree, Chicken Wizard. He is a good actor. So that was Predator 2. Now, number 4, when I was looking up for this list, I looked at a lot of the movies in my collection. And number 4 is The Last Action Hero. Last Action Hero is a great film. I love it. And, if you like movies, and I freaking love movies, Manchester Brawl says, "Why, hello there, Randy." We're talking about Last Action Hero. Last Action Hero has a lot of great jokes. It has some really great actors in roles. Like, there's so many good character actors in there. Like, there's Clarence Davis, who plays I think it's Clarence Davis. I think that's his name. So basically, here's the plot of Last Action Hero. There's this kid, really likes movies. He goes to this movie theater every Saturday. And the guy that runs the projector, the kid and the projector guy talk often. And he runs special movies like a day ahead of time so the kid can see it because he loves movies. He's in love with it. And then one day, the projectionist shows the kid a golden ticket. And he says, "This golden ticket was used by Houdini way back in the day. Some people say it's magical. And now it's yours. And now it's yours." So he gives the kid the magical ticket. He puts it in his pocket, walks in. He's watching the new Jack Slater movie. And Jack Slater is played by the awesome Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so he's watching the movie. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is shooting people, bang, bang, guns blazing, people dying everywhere. And then we get a close-up of the ticket in Danny's pocket. And the ticket starts to glow, and there's like a little electricity on it. And then, the character in the movie throws a stick of dynamite, and the stick of dynamite comes through the screen and lands in the aisle. And the kid's like, "Holy crap, how'd that happen?" So he starts running down the aisle. The dynamite explodes. And then the kid wakes up. And when the kid wakes up, the kid is in the back of Arnold Schwarzenegger's car. So he literally jumped from the human world into the movie world. And now the kid is going through the movies with this Jack Slater guy played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they go through all the tropes that, they go through all the tropes that are in normal action movies. There's a scene where, Arnold Schwarzenegger's cop characters are complaining, "Well, I never really had to do detective work. They would just show up and kidnap me, and then I would escape and kill them all." The movie he gets transported into is a PG-13 movie. And he says, you want me to prove this is a movie to you, Jack? You want me to prove this? And then Danny like writes down like some curse words, and he shows the index card to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Is like, here, you want to prove this isn't a PG-13 movie? Say this. This is an R-rated word. If this is not a PG-13 movie, you can say this word. But if it is a PG-13 movie, you aren't going to say it. So say it. And he's like, kid, get a life, you know? And then there's also the scene that's hilarious. There's a scene where Jack Slater and Danny, they go into a video store. And number one, this is the movie world. So in the movie world, everybody looks like a supermodel or like a GQ model. So they go into the video store, and like the video store girl has like this hip, like little space age type like uniform on. And, you know, Danny and Jack Slater are going through it. And he's like, look, I'll prove you're in the movies. You're in this movie. And they go to like a cardboard cutout, and Danny's like, that's not the guy. That's you. And Arnold Schwarzenegger looks at the cardboard cutout, and it's Terminator 2 Judgment Day, but instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger face, they have Sylvester Stallone's face on there. And Danny's like, no, that was you. You were in that movie. And then like one of the hot 10 like supermodel girls walking through the store goes, you were in a movie? And Arnold's like, as a matter of fact, I was. It was called The Woman of My Dreams, and it was starring you, you know? And then he gets the girl's phone number, and they leave. And there's also a part where they get into some hijinks, and basically Jack Slater and Danny go to a mobster's funeral. A bunch of hijinks happen, and somehow Jack Slater is dangling from a crane, and he drops into the La Brea tar pits, and he comes out, and then like the very next shot, he just wipes off all the tar, and like tar sticks. So you couldn't just wipe it off. It would be impossible. And the kid's like, see, that tar, it just wiped off. You know, you wouldn't be able to do that in a movie. And then finally, at the end of the movie, there's a big scene between the bad guy and Jack Slater in the real world. And, the bad guy shoots and it clicks. And then like Arnold Schwarzenegger is, look at that. You made the classic movie mistake. You forgot to reload the damn gun. And the bad guy's like, no, Jack, I just left one chamber empty. And then he shoots, and he mortally wounds Jack Slater. And like the kid's like, oh, we got to take Jack Slater back to the movie world, because in the movie world, this is just a flesh wound. So, you know, some ambulance comes, they start, you know, taking him around, and they're going in the ambulance, and the kid gets Arnold Schwarzenegger out of the ambulance and wheels him into the movie theater on the gurney, and, you know, gets him back into the movie world. And, you know, he's in the police station, and the cops are like, what the hell is this, Slater? This is just a flesh wound. And then the movie ends, and it's fun for everybody. And it's just a really great movie, you know. And another thing, it's the first appearance of Bridget Wilson. And Bridget Wilson plays Jack Slater's daughter in the movie. And Bridget Wilson is one hot actress. And if you look at her today, she is still hot. And she was also in the movie Billy Madison with Adam Sandler. That was good. And then I think 1 or 2 or 3 years later, she was in Mortal Kombat as Sonya Blade. So yeah, that was a really good movie. So number three on this list, Catwoman starring Halle Berry. I'm not a fan of Halle Berry as Catwoman, but here's the thing about Catwoman. All the elements were there. All the elements for a big budget, like blockbuster movie, they were all there, but they just didn't do it. You know, like they had like an A-list actress. You know, I think Halle Berry was hot off Monsters Ball, where you know, she won an Oscar. She got to play a major franchise character. This was the first movie starring Catwoman that Catwoman was the superhero. But And yeah, it just didn't happen. It just didn't jive. It just didn't gel. But, and even still, Halle Berry, she starts out as one character, and then she goes and she has moments of change, and she changes into a different character. She's empowered. She's integrated herself. And, she's a strong female character. But there were a lot of elements in this movie. It's a good movie. I'll watch it again. But there's a lot of elements in this movie that just didn't jive. Like, let's start off with the crazy cat lady. The crazy cat lady was played by the mother of the psycho kid in American Beauty. And the original actress that they wanted to get for this movie, and they even included her in the DVD interviews, was Julie Newmar, who was the original Catwoman from the 1966 series, Batman. But again, it was kind of disrespectful because they took a lot, like, Catwoman is a Batman character. That is who she is. And Catwoman will be one person's love and one person only, and that will be Batman. And they took Catwoman and they established Selina Kyle in Batman Returns. Like, that is Catwoman's alter ego, Selina Kyle. But they said, no, in this universe, our Catwoman is called Patience Phillips. And she's an art designer, and she works for this crazy French guy. And anyone got spare coffee? No. But you can go to John's Coffee Talks, and you can get some coffee there, But yeah, so Patience Phillips, she uncovers this big conspiracy about this beauty makeup corporation led by the French dude from the Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, and Sharon Stone. And Sharon Stone plays a 40-ish aging supermodel. Everybody's passing her over for the new supermodel. And the beauty makeup product that they're working on, like, here's the thing. If you use it consistently, it turns your face as solid as marble. But if you don't use it consistently, you get like skin lesions and burns and rashes, and your face basically deteriorates. So number one, first problem with this movie, just keep using it. I mean, like, if it makes your face super firm, like, just keep using it, and yeah, no problem. But eventually, obviously, you're going to run out sometime. You can't buy it forever. But hold on. You can't buy it forever. And another thing hampering this movie is that it was severely altered from the screenplay. I read the original screenplay for the Halle Berry Catwoman, and it was much, much, much different. Like, number one, the wife was not the villain. Number two, there was a big fight and like explosion on top of the rooftop of the Bioline Corporation. And, a lot of the jokes just didn't land. Just, it wasn't that good. But again, like, even for the cringe, some of it's pretty funny, like, there's a part where Catwoman gets her powers, and basically Catwoman gets her powers by a bunch of cats, and one cat in particular just burps on her. And that's how Catwoman gets her powers. And then when Halle Berry opens her eyes, her pupil turns into a cat pupil for like half a second. And it's just hilarious. And some of the scenes in the movie are just Halle Berry acting like a cat, and there's a certain line you got to draw, like, yeah, her name is Catwoman. She doesn't really have to act like a cat, like in Batman Returns, they kind of played with that a little bit, like, she drank milk a lot, and, but like in this movie, they go way, 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 way overboard with the cat puns, Like, she starts to eat tuna fish out of the can with her fingers and stuff. And when she wakes up, she's on top of her own kitchen cupboard. And when she falls, she lands on all fours. I mean, like the 1966 one, the most Catwoman ever acted like a cat was, she said perfect, and like occasionally she would like, like rub her cheek against Batman, like, she was a cat. But yeah. She's like Neil Breen. Love that tuna. Yeah. Yeah, I use that in one of my Neil Breen videos. The eating tuna really shittily. Yeah. Yeah, Mantis Brawl, you got it. And he says, Mantis Brawl says Merovingian. Ooh, yeah. And guess what? He's going to be back in Matrix 4. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. So yeah, Catwoman, again, it had all the elements necessary for a super cool movie, but a lot of the things, they took a lot of risks, but unfortunately this is one of the risks that just didn't pan out. It didn't pay off, and it just kind of fell flat. And then again, they totally divorced this Catwoman movie from Batman. Like I think the city is called like Central City or something. It wasn't Central City. It was something like that. And then Catwoman's love interest isn't Batman. In fact, Bruce Wayne isn't even mentioned once. And then Catwoman's lover in this movie is some police detective who can't tell the difference between Catwoman's thank you and he can't tell the difference between Catwoman's handwriting thank you and Patience Phillips' handwriting thank you. If you look at the Y, it's the same person. You can just tell. And the handwriting specialist is like, oh, you can tell this Y is by somebody who, is calm and introverted and doesn't make waves. And then this person who did this Y, this one has a slightly, wilder loop. And I was like, just total bullshit. And I know a little bit of handwriting analysis, but I'm not going to get into that. Again, Catwoman, a lot of it didn't land, but sometimes some movies are just so cringe that you just love watching them. I mean, it's like watching a cringe video that is like actually in sequence and more than like a minute long. So there you go. But Catwoman, I love it. I watch it all the time. So number 2 on the list is Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. A lot of people didn't like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Frankly, I loved it. I freaking loved Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. In fact, I think like if I were to go into a movie studio and pitch the movie, I think I could pitch that movie and sell it. Because there's so many wild and crazy things that happen in this movie, and there's so much creative genius in it. I think it's better than the original Bill and Ted, to be honest. I'll be honest. So I am going to pitch Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey to you right now, and you'll see how I do. So number 1, right off the bat, the opening of the movie starts in the future. All right. And George Carlin is like talking to all these people. Then this like super badass, like super villain with like futuristic costume comes in and he kills a few people. And Bill and Ted come in and he's like, the bad guy's like, guess what? This isn't Bill and Ted. So Bill and Ted reach inside their mouths and they pull their skin over their heads. And underneath are these really super cool robotic Bill and Teds. They're like androids underneath. They look like Terminators. So like the bad guy's like, you know what? I'm going to destroy the timeline. I'm going to go back and my people are going to kill Bill and Ted and there's nothing you can do about it. So the bad guy disappears. The robotic Bill and Ted disappear. And then we go back into normal life. Bill and Ted are, like romancing the princesses. And then robotic Bill and Ted come to real Bill and Ted's apartment. And they say, look, man, we're you from the future. You need to come and check this stuff out because it's really important that you need to see it. And they're like, whatever, man. Yeah, let's do it. So robotic Bill and Ted are driving, real Bill and Ted out to the desert. And, Bill's like, dude, where are we going? And then like Ted's like, shut up, Bill. It's like, dude, Ted, you're really a dick in the future. It's like, yeah, dude, I got to work on that, man. So they take him out and they take him out to this famous Star Trek location. It's the cliffs. It's called like Hawks Peak or something like that. I don't remember what it is. But Bill and Ted are like, okay, here, we're going to go to this cliff. All right. And they just push Bill and Ted over the cliff. They fall like 200 feet and die. So they're dead now. And we see their ghosts. All right. And the ghosts are like looking around like, whoa, Ted, what's going on? Because when you're dead, apparently everything is blue and white. You know, you have black and white. This is blue and white. So everything's blue and white. And they turn around and they see somebody. A guy in a cloak. Kind of looks like Black Aldrin, kind of. But it's not Black Aldrin. It's Death. And Death is like, you must come with me to go to the afterlife. They're like, who are you? And he goes, I am Death. It's like, oh, dude, wow. And they're like, dude? It's like, what? Your shoe's untied. And Death's like, and they uppercut Death, give him a wedgie, and then they run away. So, like, we're not even like 20 minutes into the movie. Bill and Ted have Terminator robot doubles, and they just died, and they just gave Death a wedgie. So Bill and Ted like go to their parents, who, you know, the parents are like police officers, and basically Ted possesses Bill's father, you know. And, you know, like, it's funny because the actor who did Bill does a really good impression of Bill, you know? Like, there's this old dude, and he's just, like, talking about all Bill and Ted's, like, little isms. And then Ted possesses the other guy. Like, yo, dudes, we need to talk to you. The robot evil us's from the future have kidnapped us. I mean, our sons. And we totally need you to go and arrest these evil us's. And like the cops in the room are like, what? Are these guys on drugs? And they're like, dude, Ted, they're not buying it, man. It's like, I guess we got to go somewhere else, man. So they exit the bodies, and then they go to their mother's house, and their mother is holding a seance. So, you know, Bill and Ted appear above them in floating astral bodies, and they're like, hello, we need you to save us. We need you to come help us. Get us away from the evil us's. Bring us back to life. And then like Bill's like, dude, I can totally see down your mother's shirt. It's like, shut up, Ted. That's gross. So basically Bill's mother gets freaked out, and she sends them to hell. So they go to hell, and they meet Satan, and Satan locks them away inside the depths of hell. And in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, hell is your own personal hell. So Bill's hell is being at his 8-year-old birthday party, getting kissed by his grandma, who looks like a zombie in this personal version of hell. And, you know, the grandma's like, come on, give it a kiss. So, and then Ted's personal hell is when his dad sent him to military school, and he had to do like 1,000,000 push-ups. Like, the drill instructor comes up and is like, you're going to do 1,000,000 push-ups right now. And, you know, Bill and Ted are doing the push-ups, and Ted's like, Bill, I can totally not do 1,000,000 push-ups for the rest of our journey. It's like, you're right, dude, we got to get out of here. So they leave, they get out, and they figure out there's only one way out of hell. They got to play the Reaper. So they go, Reaper! The Reaper appears, takes them off into this like castle lobby type thing. And Bill and Ted are basically playing the Reaper. And the Reaper's like, you get to pick the game. Pick whatever you like. And they pick all these like really 80s board games like Monopoly and Twister. And they keep cheating the Reaper. And the Reaper just keeps saying like, best 1 out of 2. Best 2 out of 3. Best 3 out of 5. Best 6 out of... And they're like, finally with the last game, they're like, seriously, dude? You lost. Accept it. You lost. And the Reaper's like, okay, fine. Where do you want to go? And they're like, can you take us to heaven? And they're like, yeah, I can take you to heaven. We could go there. So they go to heaven, and they're at the gates of heaven, and they can't get in because, only, I don't remember why they couldn't get in, but they couldn't get in. Like, they weren't on the list. So they see a bunch of people going into the pearly gates of heaven. So they go, they find two people that are their same heights and wear the same clothes as they do. And they go, oh, over here, come here. And they mug the people who are about to go into heaven. So they go into the pearly gates of heaven, posing as these people, and they find all these people in heaven, like a bunch of famous figures, like Albert Einstein's there, Nikola Tesla's there, Beethoven's there, and they're like, we need people to help us go back to Earth and fight these evil us's. So apparently Martians can go to heaven in this universe. So they get the Martians, and they go to God, who is basically like a floating ball of light, and they say, God, we need to go back to Earth and fight these evil us's so good can prevail in the universe. Can you send us back? And then the final thing that God says is, station. And then they disappear, and they're back on Earth. And the Martians, there's two short little Martians, and apparently midway through the movie, they can combine into one huge Martian. And, they went to the Martian because it's the best scientist in the world. And they want this Martian to build some makeshift robotic Bill and Ted's so that they can be the Terminator Bill and Ted's. So the stations, basically, they steal a bunch of stuff from a Home Depot. They got like pipes and mechanical gizmos and doodads, as Fierce would say. And they build these like kind of wonky mechanical Bill and Ted's. They're not super high tech. Again, like their fingers look like they're made out of PVC pipe, and like the eyes are just like light up eyes. It's a cool costume. And like, as far as robotic characters go, it's pretty much the coolest robotic character that I've seen in a film for a long time. So the Martians and the robotic Bill and Ted's and the princesses, they go to the concert to stop the evil bad guy from killing everybody at the concert. And there's this whole thing. It's like a prolonged, like 10-minute sequence where they're talking to the bad guy. And the bad guy's like, yeah, but you know what? I come from the future, so I already have cages for you. And then like cages drop down on the Bill and Ted. And like Bill and Ted's like, oh yeah, well guess what? We're all set from the future too. And when we win, we're going to get keys and put them right in our pockets. And they open up the locks and they come out. And then the bad guys and like, yeah, but I knew you were going to do that too, because I'm from the future as well. And I'm going to put a gun right in my pocket. And they points the gun at him and like, yeah, and guess what? Only the people who are successful are going to be people from the future. So guess what? Your gun, we rigged it so there's no bullets in it. And there's this 10 minutes drawn out sequences like where each one of them is like one-upping the other. And eventually they defeat the bad guy. There's a huge musical number. The Reaper is playing like cello, and the mechanical robots are playing like the guitars. And, the station is playing the drums, the two little station things. And it's just a big musical number. It's a big finish, and it's amazing film. And there's so much creativity in that film. Like, it is chock full of creativity. And I got to say, I would give that movie an 8.5, an 8.9, maybe a 9, because it's cheesy, but it's good. It's creative. Bill and Ted are in their prime. They're young, they're still cool and relevant, and it's just a great movie. I gotta say, it's a great movie. And this last movie, ironically, was also written by Ed Sullivan. Ed Solomon is the guy who wrote Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bogus Journey, and Face the Music. But this next one is widely regarded as one of the worst video game movies of all time. But me, I love it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love this movie. And this movie is Super Mario Brothers, the movie, starring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo, and also the late Dennis Hopper. This movie is amazing. And here's the thing going in. You got to realize that the video game Super Mario is basically a cartoon, like a very stylized animated cartoon. There's no way that they could have brought Super Mario Brothers, the movie, to life if they made this movie live action. There's no way, you know. Like, number one, the Goombas are about the size of your shin, you know. Like, in Super Mario Brothers 1, Super Mario is like an inch tall on screen, and like the Goombas are like half that. And it's really, and I understand why they did what they did with the Goombas, because, I mean, like, the Goombas in the video game are the size of a terrier, and you can't get scared of a terrier, you know? Like, you know, like movies like Gremlins and Chucky and like Critters, like, if those movies were in real life, like, honestly, you could just punt those monsters and they would be down for the count. Like, Gremlins aren't very big. You could just field goal kick a gremlin and it would be out of commission, you know? And same thing with the Goombas. If they made the Goombas look in the movie like they made in the game, they wouldn't be threatening. They would not be scary. You know, they just wouldn't. So I actually applaud them and like what they did with the Goombas, because they made the Goombas like 9 feet tall. Now, if I was in a fight with 9 foot of anybody, that would be pretty freaking scary. You know, imagine fighting Shaquille O'Neal or Michael Jordan or something, or somebody really like towering over you 9 feet tall. That is scary. And the Goombas, like little heads, they got all these like little fangs and teeth. They could bite you and they could just rip your arm off. You know, so again, I understand what they did with the Goombas. They tried to make them more imposing, try to make them a real threat, really dangerous. But again, they kind of like ruin that at the end of the movie, where they have all the Goombas line dancing and stuff. So the threat is kind of gone there. But the movie starts out in 1,000,000 years ago, you know, and apparently a comet hit Earth and killed all the dinosaurs. And then they flash forward to about like 20 years ago. And then Princess Daisy, there's an egg, and they leave it on the steps of a Catholic church. The egg hatches, and it's this girl, and all the nuns raise her, and she's got this like little gem necklace that she has, and basically, and then they cut to present day, where Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo, they're plumbers, they're out of work, they haven't been doing stuff a lot, and then John Leguizamo comes across Daisy. And, you know, Daisy is played by Samantha Mathis. And back then, Samantha Mathis was pretty damn hot. She was quite a looker. And so, you know, John Leguizamo falls in love. And John Leguizamo, Luigi, and Mario, they both have a double date. You know, Mario has his girlfriend. Luigi has Samantha Mathis. And they basically talk about her checkered past and what's happened. And apparently Samantha Mathis is a geologist, and she's, you know, digging up dinosaur bone, not a geologist, like a paleontologist, and she's digging up dinosaur bones. And they come across these weird finds that, you know, make it look like dinosaurs evolved into humans, and they evolved into the superior race. And then like they are like excavating the inside of a pipe, and they found this crack in the pipe. So basically, all throughout this first act, we find out that Princess Daisy is being watched by these two guys. One of them played the Indian guy from Short Circuit, and the other guy is a random character actor who hasn't done much. But they kidnap Daisy, and Mario and Luigi find out. They go into the pipe, and the pipe has a time portal, not a time portal. It has a dimensional portal that only the person who has the necklace can access. So Luigi has the necklace. Mario falls into the portal. Luigi's like, well, I got to go after him. He goes into the portal, and they wake up in this version of Manhattan called Dino-Hatton. So it's like Manhattan, but with dinosaurs. And apparently what happened is in this alternate universe, dinosaurs evolved into humans. Apparently, like if you're a sentient species, in a million years you'll probably be human. You'll probably end up as human, according to this movie's logic. So, yeah. So this world that they end up in Dino-Hatton is really Blade Runner-esque, and there's kind of almost like a dominatrix, like a bondage type theme with a lot of the costumes. Like a lot of the costumes are leather and studded and spikes and stuff. And also the two characters are actually characters. The two characters that kidnap Princess Daisy are actually two characters from Super Mario Brothers 3, Iggy and Spike. And I assume if the film had a sequel, and the ending of the movie really hints at a sequel, and it never got made, it hints that there would be more characters from King Koopa that were relatives of King Koopa that would be coming back. And there was just a lot of weird and odd choices in the movie. Like, this is a kids movie, right? It's for kids. Like, like Super Mario Brothers, I think, like, as far as Super Mario's Brothers in the video game at the time of 1993, I think we were only just Super Mario World by that time. So this is a movie made for kids, but it's not made for kids. There's a lot of sexual jokes, and Mario's girlfriend is actually very top heavy. Like, she's got a good set of assets on her chest, and when she runs, it's jiggles, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is a good movie. I like it. And then there's a shot of Samantha Mathis where she's leaning over the comet, and she's sticking the crystal in the comet, and you can basically see totally down her shirt. You don't really see anything, but you can almost see her belly because, like, her shirt is hanging open, and you can see her bra at least. And there's another part in the movie where Mario is dancing with this bouncer, and she's like a 400-pound woman who's the bouncer, and her name is Big Bertha. And there was a character, it wasn't even a character, it was a fish in Super Mario Brothers 1. And the fish was called Big Bertha. And I have no idea how they translate a giant fish to a giant woman bouncer in a bar. There's a lot of leaps in logic in this movie. So basically, Mario wants to get the necklace off her, so he dances with her, and all the time he's dancing with her, he's trying to get the necklace. And there's even a scene where he takes his mouth and just bites the necklace and basically motorboats Big Bertha. I'm like, this is a kid's movie, right? Like, this is made for kids. And there's just a lot of creepy scenes. Like, there's a scene where Dennis Hopper is talking to Samantha Mathis. And there's a part where he goes, little girls never forget the first time they were kissed by a lizard. And then he sticks his tongue out, and he's got that weird CGI fork tongue. Is this a bizarre movie? But again, it's a crazy movie. It's very stylish. It's very well directed. But Bob Hoskins apparently reportedly hated it because they said the directors were very abusive. They were very mean. They were not nice to anybody. And I think Dennis Hopper said, one of the directors threw hot coffee on an extra's face. I'm like, whoa, damn, that sounds like a bad working environment. That does not sound like a fun set to be on. But again, stylistically, it's a very odd movie. And I wouldn't call it a Super Mario Brothers movie. It's really not. It's a movie that has Mario references in it. But honestly, it's not a Super Mario movie. Number one, Mario and Luigi aren't even really brothers in the movie. Luigi says very clearly in the movie, he's really kind of like my foster father, but I call him my brother because we're so close. So they're not even really brothers. And their last names are Mario, which was clever in somebody's mind. Somebody thought that was a really clever thing because it's the Mario brothers, right? So Mario is named Mario, and Luigi's name is Luigi Mario. Yeah. Chew on that one. Yeah, so it's crazy. So those are my top 10 garbage movies that I adore. So number 10, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, for a recap. Number 9, Twisted Pair. Number 8, Troll 1. Number 7, Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Number 6, Black Scorpion. Number 5, Predator 2. Number 4, Last Action Hero. Number 3, Catwoman. Number 2, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And finally, rounding out number 1, one of my favorite bad movies of all time. Loved it in the theater, loved it ever since. Number 1 is The Super Mario Brothers with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo. So those are my top 10 favorite garbage movies. They're horrible. They're bad movies. But I love a lot of really bad movies. So we're at 1 minute. We're at 1 hour and 11 minutes. I'm going to go until 1:20 just to give it a good solid, round it out there. But yeah, those are my favorite movies in a nutshell. If you want, list your own garbage movies and put them in the comments section. I'm actually feeling a little ill suddenly, so I'm going to go. And, remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Yeah, I got this weird thing in my throat. It's like, something's coming up or something. I got to go. So my name's Randy Brown for Cammy Man 2021 and the Mayor of Magic. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Comment your own garbage movies that you love in the comments. And my name's Randy Brown, and I will see you later, alligator.